think it's the station is down.
I won't leave you behind.
Good morning and welcome back to Out of Spec Motoring, which means road trip time. This Lucid Air has been through so much in the last 2 weeks that we've had it, including other road trips, testing, multiple range tests, charging. We're throwing everything we can at this thing. And yeah, why am I next to the Cybertruck and trailer? Well, last night was our official range test. We actually did 2 range tests back to back with different tire pressures. Didn't mean to do it that way, but now we kind of know what the difference of tire pressures makes. Either way, both range tests, it went over 500 miles at 70 miles an hour. That's crazy. Go check out the dramatic video on Out of Spec Reviews. That was a blast. And the Cybertruck was our rescue vehicle because we took this thing down to 0 and then beyond. It actually went over 30 miles below 0, which is crazy. Anyways, that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is a road trip. Taking the Lucid Air Grand Touring 2025 new model all the way up to the Pacific Northwest to Tacoma, Washington. So here it is, in case you have not been familiar with this, that is the 2025 Grand Touring on the Aero wheels. So it's the maximum range spec. And I am taking it all the way up to Tacoma, Washington. It's actually exactly 1,000 miles as the crow flies, but obviously that's not how we drive. So it's about 1,300 plus, maybe close to 1,400 miles total, and should be a really interesting drive. Actually, I'm really excited to go see beautiful parts of the country and share that route with you. I'm going out there the northern route, so through Wyoming, then Montana, a little bit of Idaho, and of course Washington, and then we'll be returning on a different road trip film, hopefully on the Starbucks charging network in a completely different route with different scenery. So 2 very exciting, fun adventures, and we'll see what I can find out there in the Seattle area. It's still a relatively new car. This has about 3,500 miles on it, which I guess in 2 weeks, that's a lot of miles. I recently drove this from LA to here with 2 stops. That's over 1,000, or about 1,000 miles with 2 stops, which is crazy. So I'm hoping to do probably not the same strategy here because there's a bit less flexibility with how many stops in this kind of rural area of the US. But I wanted to showcase, like, all you guys know, you can take EVs almost anywhere in the US now, but this is especially a route in a region where most people don't think about driving EVs. So I'm excited to see what the charging infrastructure is like. How is Electrify America in this area, which is what I'm going to be using exclusively pretty much to get out there. But I might swing by a Tesla supercharger with Magic Dock just to see how that works, but I'm not expecting good speeds. Yeah, that'll be interesting. And we'll be checking out, of course, the car's route planner versus my route planner. There is a nice big crack in the windshield, a huge rock chip hit right there during Kyle's range test last night. The tires are fairly worn, so hopefully going to get all that addressed at the Lucid Service Center in Seattle. Excited to see what that place is like. But otherwise, this thing is really quite clean. 118 kilowatt hour battery, got dual permanent magnet motors, no clutch disconnect, but this thing is just so freaking efficient even without that. And I will also be testing out the sound system even more than my last road trip. I subscribed to Tidal so I can use Dolby Atmos. Can't really show you exactly how that works. It's just not going to be representative with the phone. But we are leaving here at the Out of Spec Hub. Check that out. 99% state of charge. Let's look and see how all this stuff works. It takes a bit of getting used to with the screen, but once you get it figured out, it's actually not too unintuitive. But it's also not amazing, I would say. So, routing to, let's just say, Saltese, because I'm actually hoping to also maybe car camp in this thing. So a lot of various testing happening here between the sound system, route planning, car camping, everything. Really excited to spend more time with this car. I've grown to really love it. I actually didn't have to grow. I liked it from the beginning, but there are some issues I have, and I hope to see Lucid improve them, especially in the driver's assistance area, but also even some of the software quirks and the route planning, as you can see here. It's saying I have 3 stops to get to there. Unfortunately, it doesn't know that I'm planning to charge there. There's a level 2 charger in Saltese that I'm hoping to spend the night at maybe. So we'll kind of play it by ear. I've got some strategy ideas, but unfortunately Lucid doesn't let you set your state of charge on arrival, which is a very basic thing I would like any car to honestly have. So that's a bit of a bummer. but I don't see any way to do that. I've looked through all the settings extensively. It just kind of targets 20% at each charger, but if you dip down to like 19%, it'll freak out and reevaluate somewhere else. So it's just, which is crazy because at 20% you can still do like over 100 miles. So that would be awesome if especially Lucid would let you tweak that. Not saying every car does. Actually, a lot of cars don't give you that full granularity, but us nerds love it. My first stop here is, I think, what is this? Casper. I can't quite make it to Billings. That's 500 miles, 496. I maybe could if I had low speeds, but this is all high speed stuff. I'm not trying to do like super efficient runs on this road trip. That's not the point. I'm trying to get somewhere, but I still want to see the sights and really soak in how the charging looks like. So we should be arriving to Casper about 50% state of charge, which is cool. I've wanted to do some plotting of the charge curve higher up, you know, plugging at a higher state of charge and seeing if I do any sort of derating up top that I saw when I plugged in at lower state of charge on the last road trips I've done. So without further yapping, let's hit the road. Resetting the trip meter, vehicle trip information, reset trip E. That's not quite what we did on the range test, but 523 miles is what Kyle got. 511 at highway speed, and then he creeped another 12 miles at lower speeds, which was crazy. So lifetime average though, just under 4 miles per kilowatt hour. So we'll keep an eye on our trip with trip B and our since last charge with since last charge. While I'm in the nitpicking mode, I will just mention that if you reverse, it throws on the cameras. Then if you go forward, it keeps the cameras on, which I do like. But to close all these out, you have to hit 2 X's. And on a bright parking lot, this is completely blown out. I can't actually see the X. I know it's there, but you wouldn't necessarily know it's there, and it blows out all the text and stuff. And these all go away when you hit about 15 miles an hour. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Anyways, these all go away when you hit about 15 miles an hour, but a lot of times I'm creeping around a parking lot wanting to change like navigation or something, and this just gets in my way. So I wish there was a really, really quick, easy like camera off button, but for now, hitting a couple X's is the trick. All right, let's follow our navigation. We'll see how accurate it is. It's saying 272 miles at the stop, because in a Lucid, when you're navigating using the built-in nav, it'll tell you up here, rated range on arrival, which is saying 274 miles. And then down here, it's saying, there we go, 53% is what it says I'll get there with. We'll keep an eye on that. Again, I'm not hypermiling it at all, but I'm also not going to be breaking any laws. I'm just trying to get somewhere safely and soundly. As far as the weather, it is a bit warm down here in northern Colorado. About high 80s is the expected high today, but I'm heading north, so I'm hoping we get some cooler temperatures. I mean, efficiency is pretty good in the warm, but also the AC might have to work harder. However, I have rear shades that I will be raising. There we go. Nope. There we go. Rear shades to help ease the load on the climate control. So that should help in theory. And it's Labor Day weekend, which is, I'm doing this on Sunday though, which means in theory the least traveled day of Labor Day weekend, which is probably Saturday and Monday, or maybe Friday and Monday. However, I'm starting this trip on Sunday. I'm taking 2 days, so I do expect it to be a bit busier tomorrow, Monday. But we'll find out. This is all an amazing, fun learning opportunity for me. I've always wanted to drive this route, so I'm really excited to get this car out there and see everything along the way. I've got the drone, I've got my camera. I'm going to share as much of the journey with you as I can. There's the Budweiser plant, local here in northern Colorado. Pretty sweet. Fun fact, I used to have a Budweiser Clydesdale. Well, technically my ex did. But big, beautiful Clydesdale thoroughbred. Also fun fact, most horses don't have 1 horsepower. I think the average is actually about 14 horsepower, something like that. At least that's what I've heard, but who knows. But this thing has 819 horsepower, so we have no shortage of power. However, for this trip, I'll be using smooth mode. And also, by the way, another nitpick, Lucid, I would love for you to add automatic screen brightness. At night for the range test, we have to lower, well, really any night, you just have to lower the brightness manually and then raise it during the day. I'm assuming there may be an ambient light sensor somewhere in the car. I don't actually know that for sure, but if it has the automatic light capability, I would assume for headlights, I would assume there's also the automatic capability for the screen brightness to be managed if you want. That would be really cool. Really cool. This whole trip, honestly, I'm just going to try to have suggestions for Lucid to make improvements, because they did make a great car. Engineering team seems solid, but no car is perfect, and I'm here to just try to push brands to make a closer to perfect vehicle. Before we continue, let me point out, this was on the previous software to today when you were watching this. This is on 2.3.10, maybe, something like that. And right after I finished this road trip, literally the day I got home, which is the part 2 film, they released 2.4, which apparently fixes a number of things, including some of the ADAS. So I guess picture this trip as a point in time where the ADAS was at this moment, which is all true, but they seem to have improved it, which is why we are going to be doing more testing coming up, and of course more road trips. That's why I love living with these cars long term, so we can really do long-term testing over the course of various software updates. So just wanted to mention that caveat. This is on the previous software to the current software. Let's keep going. And as I engage highway assist here for the first time, I will see how it does. The rock chip is pretty close to the camera up there, but not in front of the camera. So I'm curious to see if that plays into any effects. I'll of course keep an eye on the glass crack, which has seemed to expand a bit. So that's a caveat, is that technically issues with driver assistance could be related to the visibility. However, my last road trip film, I mentioned many times how rough the system is. It's okay in like really straight lines like this. It's actually pretty good. And the steering wheel requires the perfect amount of torque. Really, really like that. But it's not a capacitive wheel, and it's not a really competitive driver assistance system. Definitely some ping pong in the lanes, hard to keep corners. We'll see that later on in the trip as well. Even though this car has all these sensor suite I believe it needs, including LiDAR, to have really good driver's assistance. I do know Lucid is good with updates, and updates are coming. These updates may drastically improve driver assistance and maybe the software and everything else. So keep in mind, this is Labor Day weekend 2024, and we'll be keeping an eye out for updates and making subsequent videos showcasing what they fixed or maybe made worse. Updates could go either way. Feels just like a range test. We've got the Buffalo up on the hill. And we are crossing that point with 91% stated charge, which is lower than we did on the range test, but it's because I started further south doing higher speeds. That's all expected. This is beautiful, beautiful out here. Really excited to see all the scenery. Got some wind turbines on the left. Can't really even see the Rocky Mountains. There are some wildfire activities out in the west, northwest, so not sure if I'll skirt around those at some point, but we are technically within the smoke path, so I think I will have some haze for a good chunk of this drive, unfortunately. All right, we are checking in, getting ready to exit here in Casper. Beautiful, beautiful area. Some nice mountains in the distance there. So backing off speed now, and we are pulling in about 46%. So definitely lower than the original estimate of, like, what was it, 52, low 50s, I think is what the original estimate was. The distance on arrival has also shrunk, but we were doing higher speeds. Been doing about 5 to 7 miles an hour over the speed limit, allegedly. I guess I don't have to say that because I got pulled over doing 5 over, which is crazy. But I guess it's Labor Day weekend, so they're really out there, folks. Very nice police officer. He had never seen an EV up close, which is crazy, but I am in the middle of nowhere, or I was in the middle of nowhere in Wyoming. He just gave me a warning and said, slow down. I was like, yes, sir. So now I've been doing right about the exact speed limit, maybe 3 over. So 80 miles an hour though in this car, definitely less efficient than 70. I found the estimated state of charge upon arrival to be very accurate in 70 miles an hour, as we saw in our range test. But on this trip, let's check here, trip 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. So definitely about half a mile per kilowatt hour lower, doing, about 80, a little over 80 miles an hour. So that's definitely a difference, but who's surprised? This happens every time I pull up to the charger that's not working. So just like every EA installation, one charger is broken, but looks like we have a working 350 right here, and I think the handle will reach if I maybe back in decently far. Let's see here. Definitely decent cameras in the Lucid here, so that should help me line up just right. Okay, 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour, 215 miles on this first leg. Plug-in charge is incredible. Love that. Every car should have that. It does help the EA experience be less worse. The app says this one's broken, but the screen does seem to be functional and it looks to be working, which is really interesting. So the app says that one's not functional, but in person it appears to be. And it claims 33-minute charge here to get to 85%. It is 1:20 p.m. preparing to charge still. That is like a 45-second handshake. I just realized I never saw the car preconditioned. I was routing to a charger. I mean, I was doing the actual navigation on the charger, so I wonder if the car just didn't trigger its preconditioning. Because we were doing 125 kilowatts, which is way below where it should be. Okay, well, I might move over there just to see if that makes any sort of improvement, in case it's the charger side. The car does not say the charger is limiting it, but I guess we'll check. Well, maybe the app knows something I don't, because it appears to be functional, but neither cable is actually working. Let's try that charger. Let's see if we get weirdly better speeds on a 150. And there's the auto charging port closing, which is annoying. Please stop. Honestly, I would just prefer manual charge ports. I don't think this is a premium customer experience necessarily. You have to wait forever for it to open. There we go. Okay, let's see if this one works. The car is flashing, so it's trying to communicate in theory. So this one, the buttons might not be working. The car says preparing to charge, so let's hope they're communicating. But this screen appears to maybe be frozen. Authentication error. Unplug and plug in again. That's a two-handed job right there. Let's see if I think it's the station is down. Boy, I'm glad that I am the only one road tripping an EV through Wyoming right now, because if there was like a few cars arriving here, this would be an abysmal experience. But I think this dispenser is also broken, so that means half of this setup is currently non-functional. Authorized. So this bank of chargers is working. Those are not. Interesting, borderline creepy mall that's like dying, which is kind of sad, and I think actually not too abnormal for malls nowadays, not all of them are thriving, especially not here in Casper, Wyoming. Half the stores in this mall were closed, shuttered. And it's just like this is where a zombie apocalypse movie will for sure be starting, or maybe season 5 of Stranger Things. But anyways, to its credit, the Lucid said stop and charge for about 33 to 35 minutes. We've done exactly that ever since I plugged in, fine after some issues, and it's up to 90%, not 85 like it said it needed. So I guess it overcommitted. We're doing 60 kilowatts at 90%. Not great, but not bad. 91, heck yeah. All right, well, we are done. I'm gonna leave here. The next stop is unfortunately not as far as I'd want to go. Stop. Speaking of stop, because the long stretch I want to do is 425 miles. I'm not going to sit here and charge to 100, and that for Wyoming speeds, that's just not going to be possible. So unplugging, we got a nice buffer to work with. We're going to boogie on down to, I think, maybe Billings. I'm being attacked by cables. Stay. Let's see what the car says. So it says next stop in Billings. Get there with 35%. Let's see how accurate that is. And let's see if it actually preconditions this time. But see, here's what I mean. Leaving a parking lot, you actually can't see your navigation. Lucid has this huge driver display with no navigation stuff in it, which is a little bit frustrating. All the other cars that have driver displays seem to have at least a snippet of your navigation. So you have to speed up to 15 miles an hour, then you can see where you're going. Or, like I said before, hit the X's on the 2 different screens. I'm excited to see how the Gravity does software, because the Gravity notoriously gets rid of the screen, which I think is totally fine, as long as they have a good user-friendly screen up above. So, but again, that's something Lucid could fix with software. They could do lots of things with software improvements, software updates. Excited to see what comes out while we have their car in our possession. Okay, I figured it out. Kyle had disabled smart preconditioning for his range test. So that's why the car never preconditioned. I'm so dumb. Honestly though, in fairness, this is silly. Why should there be a settings option for one option? That could have just been a smart preconditioning button right there. I would have seen that much easier. Granted, having a settings button does allow for future proofing for more settings if they add it, which they need to. Lucid, we really need to have user selectable AC charging amperage. But anyways, that could be stuff down with future update again. But that was on me. I completely missed that, and I didn't think to ask Kyle or even think that Kyle would use that. So yeah, could have probably done a bit better speeds of the last charger. It wasn't bad, but like could have done better. I'm glad I caught that before I showed up almost dead to the next charger. Not dead, but we're on track for a, where are we here? I hate that I have to go over this screen and then down here and then down here. 31% arrival, down from 35, but it has settled into 31. So maybe it finally figured out with these speeds, which is 83 technically, that's what I'll be arriving with. 34-minute charge. We'll see if that's accurate again. It was accurate last time, even without preconditioning, so maybe that wouldn't have done much, but that explains everything. The car wasn't glitching. The car was doing exactly as it was told to do. I just didn't tell it to do that. Kyle did. Oops. Hey, there we go. That's what I love to see. Battery preconditioning. So this is actually a good time to bring up another point with the, I guess, navigation software in the Lucid. Nowhere here does it actually tell me, I don't think. Yeah, I don't see anywhere where it says how many miles until I stop. It has the overall route here, so that's how many miles until the current place I'm routing. But I would like to know how many miles until my next charging stop. It does not tell me. So I think you can go to this screen and then go to directions, but then you'd have to add up all this mileage together. So there's no actual place that says, here's how many miles before your next actual stop. I can also mention, it originally said 35% arrival estimate. Now it's saying 25% arrival estimate in Billings. So it fell quite a bit. And I've been doing 3 over. It says 85, which actually means GPS 83 in an 80. So I've been averaging 3 over, and sometimes that was 78 in a 75. Sometimes it was 83 in an 80. I guess I could say allegedly, but who's not doing, like, people are passing me. So yeah, that's really interesting how off it is by going about the speed limit. Conservatively close to the speed limit, I would say. A lot of people are flying past me doing, 10, 15 over, because it is out here in the middle of nowhere. And I haven't seen any cops since the one that found me. So, yeah, it's just not, well, obviously less efficient at these speeds. We can also check on our efficiency here in the trip computer, 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour. So we wouldn't see that much better at like 70, like on our 70 mile an hour range test, it was about 4.2, 4.3. So definitely a bit better. But even with this, that's a highway range of over 400 miles at these speeds, which I'm still pretty impressed with, honestly. Maybe 415, 420 miles, something like that. Not too bad at all. So I don't know how many miles till our stop, but it has started to precondition. But I think it is, let's see, in about 45 miles. I guess, swipe down here, get to the map, find the directions, 45 plus 1. Okay, yeah, so about just under 50 miles till our actual stop. The range test yesterday was supposed to be earlier in the day. We didn't finish till way later, which means didn't get to bed until late, which means didn't wake up until late, and then we had to get the data up this morning, the video up this morning, so I didn't leave until 10 a.m. I was hoping to leave closer to 7 a.m. So I'm missing out on the restaurant I was hoping to hit in Missoula that my friend owns. And I'm missing out on, I don't know, I may not make it all the way to Saltese, which is where I was planning to level 2 charge and camp overnight. We'll see how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling energized, I'll probably go all that way. But I'm also bummed because I'd be missing good scenery because I'd be driving late into the night. All right, just exited somewhere. I guess we're in Billings. Pretty cool looking town. Actually, really beautiful sights around it. I did miss the exit. The map did the really weird zooming thing that I mentioned before, and I guess threw me off, or I didn't notice or something. Yeah, that's another thing I'd love to see improved with software is the zooming of the map. It just feels really weird and clunky at the moment. So missed the exit, added probably 4 minutes, slight bummer, but we are arriving with about 24% state of charge. It says about a half-hour charge, but I might push that a little bit because I do think I can maybe get to Missoula with almost a full battery. So that's my goal. I need to look at some of the elevation, altitude changes and stuff to see if that's really possible, but I'm gonna do a deep charge here, maybe get some work done, maybe even take a nap, we'll see. But this is cool. I missed the exit, which means I missed the obvious place to go to the charger, but this way I can kind of see what this town is like, and that's part of the magic of these road trips sometimes. Don't be afraid to go off the beaten path and see what's around. See, there's the zooming thing. I can see my turn up there, but it zooms so far in that I can't see the turn coming up until it's like almost too late. So I'd love if that was just changed a little bit. Pulling into a Target, familiar sight, and a bunch of chargers. Wow, it looks like all new hardware. 4 fully functioning chargers, at least they appear to be. And pulling up nice and close here. Let's plug in, see what we get. It's been preconditioning the entire time. In fact, I just deferred to its preconditioning, didn't do any sort of manual preconditioning. And let's get on. Wow, nice snappy screens, long cables, still stiff. Almost can't do it with one hand. Oh, Tesla cables are so much better. Now the Lucid does read out the charging speed on the display, and it actually reads exactly what the charger reads. So I guess it's reading what is being put into the car rather than, what's directly going into the battery. So not really counting losses and stuff, but preparing to charge. All right, well, I don't think that's actually peak speeds at this state of charge, so we'll keep an eye on it though. Sometimes if it doesn't ramp up aggressively at the beginning, that means that the taper is less dramatic because it's less overstressed and hot at the very beginning. So still filming this charging curve right here with my old trusty iPhone 6s. Just replaced the battery in that, and we'll keep an eye on it. All right, well, maybe it just didn't precondition enough, or I don't know. I just don't understand. I preconditioned for about an hour. Well, it preconditioned for about an hour, and we're just really nowhere near the peak speeds that I know are capable. I've been documenting them this entire time we've had this car, so I know that we should be doing closer to 140 kilowatts right now, for example. So, or maybe more, who knows? Trying to figure out the max charging curve of a car is challenging. So hopefully later on this trip, I can maybe plug in sooner and, get a nice fresh plug in early on the charge, like I was hoping to do earlier today before I knew that stupid setting was enabled. So just gonna let this charge here for a while. I guess I'll point out something else that I did in the previous video, but in case you guys didn't watch that first road trip, when you are navigating while you're on a charger, unfortunately, the Lucid doesn't know that it's charging. I mean, it does, obviously, but the navigation system doesn't know. So, for example, I've decided instead of going to Saltese, I'm going to stop in Missoula tonight. There's a couple level 2 options I'm eyeing, which would be pretty sweet to maybe car camp on a level 2. So if I say go, or I guess I could have clicked show route. So it doesn't know I'm charging here. There's no way for me to tell it that I want to stay here and keep charging for a bit. So it's telling me just to go charge somewhere else for 16 minutes, leaving here with the current exact state of charge, Bozeman basically, and then continue on. Man, where's Dave and Andreas when I need them? Great tour of food out here in Montana. Just don't have my food buddies with me. But, geez, inflation, I tell you what, McChickens used to be like 89 cents, and my McChicken was $3.69. It was buy one get one free deal, so that helps, but still, geez. Anyways, back at the charger, we've dropped down to 40 kilowatts at 94%, and I'm debating what to do here. So, again, this is only 350 miles total, I think. Let's see. Yeah. And it's saying I still have to stop and charge for 5 minutes to get 10 extra percent. But then I'd arrive with 15%. So I'm thinking if I keep speeds low-ish, I can mess with this arrival percentage and see how that works. There's also this other route. So Lucid does point out separate routes, and this says -1 charging stop, so removes that stop, uses 11% less battery, adds 18 minutes of driving. So maybe that's a more scenic route. It's a bit shorter with mileage. And I'm trying to figure out why the big difference. Not really sure. But that does go through, you know, some national forest in Helena, I don't know how you say it. So not sure. Either way, that's 334 miles. This other one is 349 miles, which I feel like I should be able to do at 94% state of charge. So charged at 96%, nice steep charge. Did get a little bit of editing done, got some food in, responded to some messages. So once again, I have maybe the hot take of not minding the long deep charges, and with this car, which can go super far on long deep charges, that's kind of great. It still says battery is preconditioning, which maybe means, like, I don't know if that's post conditioning or preconditioning, like because we just charged, is that why it's preconditioning? I don't know, because I haven't even navigated anywhere yet. So that's my theory, unless it doesn't auto stop, but I think it should, or I think it will. I don't see how 350 miles, and I just checked, by the way, my elevation here is the same as Missoula, so I don't understand how 350 miles could be barely possible on a full battery. I'm kind of confused. So let's just go. Let's see what happens. Pull the navigation back down here. We're gonna say go, but then we're gonna go to manage, and then we're gonna remove charging stops. And what does it say? Another thing to point out that I mentioned in my previous road trip is that it would be cool if they had like a thing like Tesla had, where it said, oh, keep your speed under this to make it to your destination. Maybe that's something they can work towards. You know, like I said, Lucid is rolling out software updates always. And I don't know how often, but they do use software updates, and I think they should hopefully be benchmarking Tesla, etc. So I'm gonna take this route and just hope for the best. This one says it would be 25 minutes longer because of presumably slower speeds. So I guess if I do this route and do slower speeds, maybe that'll be the same. I don't know. We'll just see this stated range on arrival, the stated charge on arrival. I'm going to keep an eye on those. It says 7% buffer right now. Just going to work with that. I believe there's a level 2 charger I can use in Missoula at a solar company. But as a worst case scenario, we have Electrify America in Missoula as well. By the way, preconditioning stopped right after I left the charger. So I guess it was post conditioning. I still hear the fans ripping, so not really sure. Onwards and upwards into the sunset of Montana. Beautiful. So we got about an hour and a half till sunset, so not quite dark yet. We are making our way through Montana. It just gets progressively more and more beautiful. The sunset, of course, helps. And yes, the range on arrival has been all over the place, so I'm not sure the car knows what it can do. This went up to 70 a second ago. Now it's back down to 28. This jumped up to 12%. Now it's back down to 5%. Not really sure what's going on. We're passing the Yellowstone River. Oh my gosh. This is beautiful. I love road trips. Imagine having less range like in a Model S. That's probably why he's going slow. And he's got the windows down, maybe climate control's off. Although it's actually pretty nice out, so 78 degrees, beautiful. I mean, who knows, I might even roll the windows down. But yeah, I've got plenty of range, although I've only done 115 miles using 33% of the battery. So I can imagine my efficiency is 3 miles per kilowatt hour. Yep, definitely down compared to previously. That's pretty, well, it's funny, that's bad for this car. That's actually good for a lot of other cars. But yep, at that rate, we would be getting 360 miles on a full charge, which is pretty low. But I do think we've been climbing, and then at some point we have to go back down, because I do know Missoula, where I'm staying the night, is at the same level as where I last charged. We've climbed 1,500 feet already since charging, so we are definitely going uphill. It's not an illusion. And I can tell we're climbing into the mountains. This is awesome. I am jumping off the highway really quick, an exit with no services. So you might think, what the heck am I doing? Well, while we have just a little bit more light, I would like to, whoa, man, those cattle guards are rough. I would like to check and see how the bed setup situation is gonna look for this thing. So, we are, oh, there's a deer. Is it a deer? Hey, buddy. Wow, that is some rough camera work. It's like I spotted Bigfoot. I'm gonna pull over here and use the last bit of daylight to show you the storage solution on the Lucid, but also set up my bed. All right, look at this giant clamshell opening here. This is the boot of the Lucid. I've got my mattress here, and we have something. You pull these in the back here. I couldn't find a way to do it from inside. So from the outside, you can actually pull those, and that's how you fold the seat back. We'll lay this all the way down. Boom. Full opening to the rear. This is all stuck here, so that's what'll be interesting. Me setting up this mattress and just having this much space. But I think it's doable. Got my EVSC right there in case I find a 1450. And then if you haven't seen the trunk in the front, aka the frunk, huge. I have an airline luggage piece right there, a couple bags, drone, camera bag, lots of things, mini hats, huge amount of storage in the Lucid. Can't get under here yet, but I'll set the mattress up and then we'll take a look underneath. There we go. It just barely fits. In fact, if I scoot this front passenger seat up a little bit, it'll fit perfectly. But now I can show you kind of down below there. I mean, you can't really see that very well, but huge storage cavity down there. Room for more suitcases if I need it, but this is awesome. That was actually really easy. And let's see, move this forward here just a little bit. I've got no passengers right now, so no big deal. There we go. Now we have just a little bit extra wiggle room. Perfect. Okay, the bed is all set. Gonna fold this up now. And you might be able to tell, but pretty drastic angle there, which is okay. I've dealt with worse, but with the angle, I'm gonna try to park the car with the nose down if that's at all possible somehow. We'll see, but I am all set up. Time to close things up here. I just can't get over how much space is in this Lucid. And we are back on the road again. 36 miles is what it's saying now, which is 7%. It does keep going between 5 and 12, so we'll just keep driving. Well, that explains a lot. We just crossed the Continental Divide at 7,000 feet elevation. And I saw an interesting sign that said all watercraft crossing the Continental Divide must be inspected before launching. I have no idea why. If anyone knows why, please let me know in the comments. I'm really curious about that. I'm sure I could Google it, but I am driving. By the time I stop, I'll forget. Anyways, we are approaching Butte. And I saw a sign that said, she's a Butte. And it's down there. I really wish I was seeing this during the daytime. I'm so bummed I got such a late start. Sunrise is when I should have left, but the range test yesterday threw everything off, so I'm dealing with it. But this is, I can just imagine this is gorgeous. 75 degrees outside. I think it's a bit foggy as well, so the temperatures have definitely dropped a bit. But that explains why my efficiency was so rough. We've climbed about 4,000, well, about 3,500, yeah, almost 4,000 feet to get up to the Continental Divide. Now we go back down a bit. Nice quick stop at a Montana rest stop. They're actually pretty nice, pretty decent. It is funny, it says no camping and all these people are camping. Maybe they meant no tents? I don't really know. Finally got the low battery symbol. Look for a charging station. So I am officially stopping in Missoula tonight. So I have a solar company that has, in theory, a NEMA 1450 or a level 2 charger and a perfect plug share score. So I'm cautiously optimistic that'll be my overnight stop. There's also a parking garage. That's a backup plan. I'm just not sure what to expect here. And I guess my backup plan is go to the Electrify America in Missoula, which I have not been preconditioning because I didn't want to waste any energy. So my backup plan is to hit that for a little bit and then find some spot to just camp. Maybe even look for a rest area. Not sure, but ideally I'd wake up just a bit after sunrise and yeah, see about some coffee or something in Missoula. So we are getting close. We are about 830 miles in, 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour total trip average. This segment has been 3.4, so a little bit less, of course, with the elevation. And also the windshield is disgusting. So I might even find a quick little self-spray car wash. That's where I'm currently navigating to. That's stop number 1. All clean. Oh, that feels so much better. All right, I made it and it's here. So this is Big Sky Solar, which is in Missoula. It's in a neighborhood, sort of. You have to be like lost to find it. But I'm gonna be quiet. Apparently this is a Tesla connector, which I think I have the adapter for. But as a backup, we also have a NEMA 1450. There we go. Got the Electron adapter. That clicked. Oh my gosh, this is actually working. Charging. Heck yeah. And we are ripping at 9 kilowatts. Oh my gosh. I get my bed ready. Unfortunately, this light is motion sensitive, but as soon as I tuck in and stop moving, it shouldn't go off. All right, I'm settled in back here. And here's another issue, Lucid. We are plugged into a charger doing 9 kilowatts. So there's no reason I shouldn't be able to do this, but it says not available due to low battery. So camp mode does not work, or I guess climate retention mode, whatever they call it. Creature comfort, there's a few names, a few options in there, and I can't use any of that. I guess we'll just pull 9 kilowatts and keep climate on, and we'll see if it stays on. Not really sure if it will stay on or for how long. You know, I'm still in the car, the key's still in the car, so not sure what the car's logic is as far as how soon it'll shut off, but we'll find out. 59 degrees outside, ambient, so it's actually not too cold or anything, so I don't know if I even need climate, but I guess we'll see what happens. Good morning. The sun is starting to peek out from behind my privacy curtains. And I can finally see sort of where I am. Now, I got a solid 6 hours of sleep, probably 5. And the car got 50% state of charge in That's actually about 6.5 hours. So it's a little under 10% per hour charging here at 9 kilowatts, which all stacks up because it's a 118 kilowatt hour battery charging at 9 kilowatts. You can see the Tesla destination charger still kicking away there. And yeah, very interesting sights around me. So car camping is not bad. I actually might do a whole dedicated video on the reviews channel about car camping at some point in this thing, because it is relatively possible, but you know, I wasn't able to hit the climate control into keep mode while I was plugged in at early state of charge, like I showed you guys last night. And now that I'm sitting here in the back, I tried to reach up and adjust the climate control at like 5 a.m. and it wouldn't do it. The screen is completely unresponsive. I guess because the car is not technically on, but you'd think it would, I don't know. I don't know what you'd think. The logic is a bit off, and that could be something maybe Lucid could tweak, is to think about what if someone was car camping. I don't know how many people are car camping in their Lucid Air, but maybe not in car camping, just like, you know, hanging out in the car for a bit. So that's a thought, because right now, if I try, nothing does anything. So yeah, that would have been nice to adjust. So I still was able to adjust it, but I had to go into the app on the phone to adjust. And even then, I don't know what the differences are with the climate control on the app versus in the car. The app doesn't give you much control at all, unfortunately. So all I could do was set the temperature, but I couldn't set, you know, how much the front versus the rear was or anything like that. And I set the temperature like 75 and it's still cold in here. Whereas when I did my last road trip and I stayed overnight somewhere, I was able to set the temperature and it stayed nice and warm. So not sure what the differences are from, you know, app controls versus the car. Maybe the app sounded like it was almost just doing the defrost vent. So maybe that's what it was meant to be doing, is just defrosting the car instead of pre-warming it. I'm not really sure. So I feel good about 56%. I would have liked more, but that's fine. It's almost 7 o'clock a.m. Coffee shops are about to open at 7 a.m. So I'm gonna go find some good local coffee, get some work done, maybe even charge over there a little bit, and then we'll hit the road and continue west towards Tacoma, Washington. I also do wish that Lucid told you the bit more stats on the charging, like how many kilowatt hours delivered. That'd be pretty cool, but they tell you miles delivered, which I'm assuming might be rated range. So in theory, you could divide 512 by 261 multiplied by 118. But that's more math than I'd like to do at 6:45 a.m. Let's get out. Oh, nice and crisp morning here. Always be charging. Something else I'm a bit confused by is
now turn right.
Why every time I get in the car, the navigation resets to having sound on. Not sure, but it's only a 5-minute drive to where I think is a good coffee shop and a garage with some potentially free level 2 charging. Pretty sweet. But what else is apparent now? Last night it was like, oh, really hazy, and it turns out wildfire smoke is definitely what we are looking at here. It's actually not bad right in my exact location, but all around us is heavy wildfire smoke from a couple fires that are just barely south of us. Quite terrifying, actually. All right, let's see if this Clipper Creek unit works. Slow charge port. Come on. Wow, that was a loud pop, but it said charging. So we are charging at 7 kilowatts. That's that's great. Always be charging. Well, that was amazing and totally worth my time. Really, really good coffee. It's actually from a nearby coffee shop that I thought about going to, and I picked this because I had a charger. And then meanwhile, this coffee shop sells the coffee from nearby that I was thinking about going to. Let me know if that made sense. But I'm gonna head back to the car now, see how much it charged up. I think according to the app, it charged up to about 63%. So I got another 6% while I was getting some work done, having some coffee. Always be charging. Another pro tip is you should always, do your navigation and stuff while you're still charging, just so you can get every little last bit of juice. One other thing that I wish Lucid would do, maybe they can implement this, is maybe a shared or an option to have a shared history between the app and the car's navigation. Because sometimes I use the apps on the phone navigation to see how long it would take, or what state of charge it would take to get somewhere. But then when I search it on the car, it's no longer there. So it's like completely unlinked search history. I don't know if everyone likes that. Let me know if I'm off about that. Like, maybe is that just me, or does anyone else align with that? Either way, I know we're going to try to get to Moses Lake, Washington. We're going to see what it would take to get there. Partially because I just want to charge on a Tesla supercharger. But that might be a dumb idea because I would have to sit there and charge for a while. I don't know. I'm going to swing by one just to see what it looks like, how it works. But it looks like we will be stopping by an EA anyways, so we'll just stick with that, because I definitely don't want to sit at a Tesla supercharger and charge at probably 50 kilowatts to get all the way to Tacoma. Thank you, City of Missoula, or whoever is paying for that. There we go. That's what I was talking about earlier, where the cameras come up. I'm exiting the parking garage. I don't know which way to go because the map is behind the cameras and there's nothing here. That's a pretty quick software fix though. It'd be awesome to see that changed. Here's another confusing thing. So I decided to remove the Tesla supercharger and just route to the furthest EA I can get to, 257 miles away. It says I'll get there with 6% state of charge, but then it says I'll run out of battery right here. I don't know which is true, but I'm just gonna keep driving this way and see if it actually lets me. I know I have bailouts in Spokane, which I might just do anyways, but either way, I'll keep an eye on this. It is cool that it shows you where you would die, but it's less cool if that's not actually true, because these things don't actually make sense together. But there's the highway, I-90, and right before I get on there, it wouldn't be a Jordan road trip without a few shots with this. All right, looks like it corrected itself. No longer shows any red there. So that's cool. Let's keep going. Try to make it all the way to wherever that is. Manual preconditioning because I want to have some good speeds. streets have been replaced with just grassland, but it's like rocky grassland. Very interesting. I've never driven through Washington. Of course, we left Idaho. That was my first time in Idaho. A lot of firsts here, but definitely not the first charging stop. It did settle in nicely with about 18 miles on arrival, which according to the map is 3%, which is cool. So I'll be doing a, roughly full charging curve analysis again. I'm going to try to film it if I can see some pretty good speeds and just see if there's any sort of new peaks in this curve. I've been preconditioning pretty much this entire drive. I think it's still preconditioning actually, charging. Oh, it stopped preconditioning. I'm gonna start preconditioning again. I don't know why it automatically stopped. All right, actually I think it stops at 7. So I'm doing it again, exiting in 10 miles. So it should be about the right temperature when we get there, if not perfect. And yeah, hoping for some food near this exit. Definitely starving. And otherwise taking in the views. Some burn areas back there. I think we're coming into some more haze, which might be wildfire smoke again. Just not sure. But this is the Electrify America in Ritzville, which is only my 3rd DC fast charging stop this entire trip. It's awesome. So about 1,100 miles so far and about 300 miles to go. So yeah, about 1,400 total, which 3 DC fast charging stops, that's really, really solid. Plus, gaining about 55% on level 2 charging in Missoula, which was also great. Always be charging. We are exiting. We have another Lucid there, so we have good company. And yeah, I was wondering where this EA would be because there's no Target or Walmart off this exit. So I was just flabbergasted at where it could possibly be. But we are exiting here and the Ritzville exit. And wow, cool. This looks awesome. I love exploring. This is just, like I've said 18 times in this video, one of the best parts of a road trip is just seeing what's out here. All right, let's see how these work. These look just like the new installation of EA that is out in the very, very eastern edge of Colorado. So I think they're all probably 350 kilowatts. Not sure if they're load shared or not, but I'm gonna take a gamble and try to go to number 1 instead of number, oh, they're not 350. Oh, but he is almost full. So even if they're load shared, I should be fine. He plugged in at 55 or 60%. Jeez, I'm here at 3%. This is great. Okay, definitely not new hardware. Those are such stiff cables, it's crazy. Lucid would also be great if we could have a screen that would stay on while we're charging so that I could film a charging session while leaving the car and going to get food. Preparing to charge. Come on, come on, come on. I did not check the app. That would have been a pro move, but that's all right. Ramping up immediately, 3%. Let's see. We don't actually need a full battery to get to Tacoma, but I don't know the charging situation over there. I've just heard from some of you amazing viewers in the Twitter comments saying that Tacoma charging is abysmal. So gonna try to avoid what I can there and just get as much juice as I can here. Over 300 kilowatts, heck yeah. All right, nice gentleman over there unplugged his. It's a Touring, not a Grand Touring, but he still loves it. He's on a road trip as well, heading to Seattle. We've already derated. Well, actually, we've already done 10% in like 2 minutes. That's crazy. But we're not at 330 kilowatts, which is where we should be about this percentage. So, not sure what's going on. The car was preconditioning. It seems like the Lucid curve is very finicky. It still is pretty good. Like, I'm not complaining about 280 kilowatts. That's still a ripping charge, but it could/should be better. The food at this stop doesn't really excite me. Sadly, the cafe that these chargers are built at is closed. I don't know if it's closed down or closed because of the Labor Day. I don't know. Today is Labor Day, by the way. So I am just charged a little bit. 10 minutes basically. Moving on down to Tesla superchargers next. I know it's not going to charge well. The whole like high voltage Lucid thing with the Tesla, yeah, doesn't really work super well, but a lot of people were curious, so I'm going to get a photo of it. And maybe even that'll be the thumbnail, I don't know. But that has better food options. And so that's a place I'd rather sit and wait longer. And if I don't charge that fast, that means I can sit there longer intentionally. But check it out. The other Lucid left, we've got a Rivian towing and an EV6. Great lineup here, charging at what seems to be a fully functioning row of Electrify America chargers. 55% at 152. That's okay, but still not the top of the curve that I've seen. So stopping it, 18-minute charge gets me plenty far. I'll be getting to the next place still with like just under 50, like 40-something%. And we'll plug in a Tesla for a bit just so I can get a snack, maybe get a bit more work done, hit the road. There's the pizza I really wanted, but they don't open until 4:30. So over here are the Tesla superchargers. I'm curious how it'll actually work. These are Magic docks, so I of course couldn't use normal Tesla superchargers. They're not yet opened to Lucid, but it looks like they're not full either. We also have an Ioniq 6 charging over here. So let's see. Well, it looks like one charger might be broken. We'll have to see if there's any way I can fit. I may have to use the towing pull-through one, which I don't want to do, but that's the only way it'll reach the charge port on the Lucid in theory. And it'll make for a pretty good photo if I can snag that. After like 4 tries, actually I got the car at the right spot in the first time, but getting it to charge was challenging. But here we go. It's ramping up, and I use that term lightly. That's not really a ramp. We shouldn't see, I've heard more than like maybe 50 kilowatts tops. Like it's a slow charge on the current superchargers. As soon as the, I guess, version 4 superchargers come out and upgrade cabinets and everything, full version 4, not talking 3.5, but like full version 4, that can take full advantage of the higher voltage architecture, then we should see this number much higher in theory. But I don't know. I don't know all the science behind why this is so slow, but that's probably our peak speed right there. All right, quick snack. Just charged up about 13% in like 25 minutes. So that's not very good. But Mustang Mach-E showed up. Got the Ioniq 6 still down there. So there's 3 Teslas and 3 non-Teslas at this supercharger location. Magic docks are awesome. Unless you're in a Lucid. I'm ripping at 38 kilowatts now, but I've got enough charge to get to the hotel, 15% on arrival. That's plenty to work with. So I'm gonna unplug, head down to Tacoma, and see what the charging situation looks like there. There we go. Yep, look at that. Mustang Mach-E, Model Y, Ioniq 6. No, I'm not stopping at Arby's for once. This is not a food tour this time. Also, EV chargers are all full in this town, including the Electrify America station. Meanwhile, I have a Lucid Air with 500 something miles of range, so I don't have to stop. Oh yeah, that feels good. Barely. I barely have enough range. Well, here we go again. As I mentioned in my previous road trip, if you forget to unplug your phone from CarPlay, it will not allow you to record any audio when you're recording a video. I don't know if that's Lucid's fault or CarPlay's fault, Apple's fault, whatever. Doesn't matter. Either way, this clip has no audio, so I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I am approaching one of the worst traffic jams I've ever seen in my life, and I'm really regretting not taking the other, more scenic route. It would have added maybe 45 minutes to go up near Mount Rainier, the really cool mountain up near Seattle, but I was trying to make good time and get to the hotel on time, and it bit me in the butt. I guess there was a huge accident or something up ahead, so it was estimating hours of traffic. Waze said something like an hour and a half of traffic. Google said an hour. Apple said 2 hours. It was kind of all over the place. The car didn't really calculate the traffic super well until I was literally stopped. Either way, all four of them agreed traffic, and as you can tell here, there's literally traffic in front of me. It's a nightmare. But it's really funny looking over there to see a few cabins or houses, people just sitting on their porches watching this traffic jam. Hilarious. Must be nice to be them. Anyways, this is miserable, but also leads to some decent efficiency, I guess. And really the only way I'm surviving it is by using these massaging seats, music. I even had the windows down for a while because it is fairly nice outside at this point. So there's definitely worse places, less picturesque, beautiful places to be stuck in traffic. I can't complain too much, but it's still far from ideal. It's funny, different apps were telling me to take different exits and try to take different side roads, but there's really no actual alternate routes at this point. There's no way I could have turned around to really take the back road I mentioned. That would have added over an hour at this point. And it's funny to see people jump off the highway, try to take side roads, jump back on the highway, get stuck in traffic, and I end up right next to them like I was before they try to take the shortcut. That's always funny when that happens. That may have been the problem. Yeah, traffic's starting to thin out up here. I was in stop and go traffic for over an hour. I'm annoyed. I actually filmed a couple clips, but I had no audio because my phone was plugged in. And with this car, if your phone is plugged into CarPlay, any video recordings have no audio. I have no idea why. Not every car does that. I don't know whether to blame Apple or Lucid. I don't know who's to fault, but that sucks. So, anyways, all I was doing was complaining about traffic. But Mount Rainier's over there. Can't see it. That's pretty normal for Seattle. But I think we're finally through it. The ETA oscillated between, originally it was 5 p.m. Then it went up to almost 6:45 p.m. Then 6:30. Now we're saying about 6. I'm just hoping to be there by around 6. I'm really tired of driving. It's been about 20 hours. Oh my gosh. And I never explained why I'm actually doing this trip in the first place. Our friends Paul and Todd over at Everyday Driver, they have their own YouTube channel. They've been doing it since YouTube existed, basically. They're doing a big shoot this weekend. They're trying to work with Lucid to get a Lucid. Lucid's like, oh, the Lucid we were going to give you is without a spec. So we decided to, kind of work together and get them this Lucid. Either way, I'm doing road trips out and back. Should be fun. So I'm getting some stuff from my perspective. Getting tires out in Seattle. I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but this car needs tires badly. It also needs a windshield, but don't have time for that. That would take 2 days of the car sitting still to have the adhesive cured, and we don't have time for that. That'll happen back in Denver when I get back. After a long time on Highway 90, Interstate 90, I am exiting, heading down 18, which cuts through the mountains a bit. 90 would have taken me straight over to Seattle, which is fine if you're going to Seattle, but I'm actually going to Tacoma area, so this is the shortcut, 18 through the mountains. A little bit of spots of traffic, including on the exit itself, but we're getting there. For the efficiency, let's check it out. 1,300 miles so far, and we've done 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. 3.7 since the last charge, which was the actually that was the Tesla charger. So efficiency is pretty, look at that, pretty constant and continuous, unless you're doing 70 constant, which in that case was like 4.3 miles per kilowatt hour, which is really, again, impressive. But all the higher highway speeds that most of this, especially this trip A, has been, yeah, that's a lot. It's a bit higher speed, bit lower efficiency. That's nothing new, but one thing to keep in mind, this is not a 500-mile car if you're going 80 miles an hour down Highway 90, where the speed limit's 80 like the whole time. All right, we made it to a very fancy hotel. The hotel has 2 level 2 chargers, and what do we have here? A Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross, which is not a plug-in hybrid, and a Honda Pilot. They are blocking one of them. The Prius Prime, though, is plugged into the other, which is awesome. Love to see it. So this car, I think the blue one is going to be pulling out. So my hope is to maybe pull in there, see if it'll somehow reach. I'm not holding my breath, but maybe for now I'll just check in and we'll see if I get lucky. Nice brand new hotel in a less nice area, so we'll see if this if I get lucky with charging tonight. Otherwise, we're gonna brave the public charging world of Tacoma, which I hear is terrible. Well, we have one example of why a Tesla placed charging port would have been perfect, and the fact that Lucid did it differently is screwing me over in this case. So, and I can't unplug the Prius. Their charge port's actually locked, which means, because they could have reached this one, which that's what they should have done. I don't know. I mean, maybe those guys weren't here earlier. It's just frustrating. People just icing chargers left and right. It's pretty common. It's still annoying. Well, dang, huge shout out to the hotel. They saw me struggling out here, and the guy came out and he's like, hey, I know who has the Prius. We can get him to move to the other charger, and then we'll get you charged. Sorry, we don't know who's icing this other charger. So these guys are keeping an eye out, I guess. Heck yeah. Let's get charging. All right, the gentleman came out and activated the charger. See what we are pulling here. 6 kilowatts, sweet. So it would take, we're at 12%. It would take 18 hours to charge full. I'm not going to be here 18 hours, maybe 12, but we don't need to be full either. We're just going to Seattle to Lucid tomorrow. That's where they're going to take care of replacing the tires. Unfortunately, they won't be able to take care of the glass, so it's going to look like that this whole trip, which is a bummer, but not too big of a deal. It doesn't really block my vision at all. It's just the one crack down the middle that's like a bummer, but that's it. We made it. So turning in for night 2 in a much more comfortable place, a hotel with a shower, which is much needed. I am, yes, still wearing what I was wearing yesterday. Yeah. So hitting Lucid tomorrow morning. We'll see what it takes to do the tires and stuff. Maybe I'll ask them what it would cost to do a windshield, and I'll ask them what it would cost to upgrade the older Lucid Airs with this new computer that's super nice and snappy. Really genuinely curious. And we'll just end the video out there. So tune in just a little bit for the next day, the last day. We're almost done. Morning, ready to head to Lucid Service Center. Let's see what we charged up to. I'm guessing 50 something. And wow, condensation. Not used to that. in Colorado. 66, nice. Well, that makes sense. We charged 52% total from 14 to 66 over the course of about 11 hours. We are almost done with this thing. Just heading up to Lucid to get these tires replaced, which I think are pretty low, and just see what we can learn about the Lucid experience at a service center. I mean, it's not necessarily representative, like this is a press car, they know I'm coming, etc. But curious if we have any other Lucid owners in the comments who have had a service experience, like how that's been. Just about 35 miles to get up there. Now we just hit 5,000 miles on the odometer. This thing's done a lot for the last 2 weeks. Really nice people. It did take a while, almost 3 hours, but I got some work done, so I didn't care. But definitely a long time to get tires done. And I guess they also wash it, vacuum it, basically detail it, which is super cool. I didn't ask for that. I didn't know about that, but they install the tires, they do a road test. Like, they are pretty thorough, I guess. Of course, the cracked windshield's still there. That was something they wanted to address, but it needed 2 days to do it. Just couldn't squeeze that in. I don't have 2 spare days to sit here because the car just has to sit and let the adhesive around the glass cure. Anyways, that's it. I'm ending this road trip here at Lucid. Just wanted to squeeze this little part in. And honestly, yeah, really good road trip. 1,400 miles basically on the nose, 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour. That's really to be expected, it seems. Most of my road tripping in this car, besides the range test, which is a very static, slightly lower speed, because a lot of people in these western states are doing 80, 85 miles an hour, maybe more. Seems like high threes is the average for miles per kilowatt hour efficiency. Checks out. Either way, that's really not too bad. This car is a range monster. Even at higher speeds, I could do over 400 miles on a charge, which gets me anywhere I need to go. As you get further west, it seems the chargers get busier and busier. You know, Seattle, San Francisco, Vegas, LA, chaos when it comes to DC fast charging. With a car like this, really any other car with a lot of range, like Silverado EV as well, it alleviates some of the charger problems. So you can eliminate some stops, make your life a bit easier. I'm all about that. Beyond that, the software honestly is pretty good. I think I've gotten used to the whole 2-screen interaction thing. Just figuring out, you know, where to go, when to do things. It is quite snappy, like very, very, very snappy. So my complaints with the early software is largely resolved. Now I guess they're on 3, maybe, I think they said. I've actually have some of the software engineers here who write the software. They're working on Gravity right now as well, which is really cool. A lot of things they wouldn't or couldn't show me, but hey, I'll take what I can get with this car, and so far that's great. They clarified that the actual chip is, I mean, the plan is to have it retrofittable to older Lucid Airs, but they haven't announced how much or how or what that process is. So it's still early days on that. I'm going to try to get more clarification. We'll have more videos on that, but honestly, software's been good. Sound system too is honestly pretty decent. Like, we've oscillated a bit on how we felt about it, and I do feel like it really runs out of steam earlier than you would expect. You have to have the volume way up there if you are, you know, using Dolby Atmos or maybe driving the windows down. Even then, the bass is not very present. Like the higher, like mid bass is okay, but any sort of sub bass, not a chance. You won't be hearing any of that unless you're at really low volumes and low quiet situations. So that's all right. Tidal's just frustrating. Lucid, I would love if you could work with Apple to get Apple Music integrated with their spatial audio. Spatial audio is fine. It's not like a big deal, honestly. Like, it's just an interesting new way to listen to music. So I would still, you know, pay for it or whatever, but not through Tidal. Tidal is just an extremely frustrating interface. And yeah, I'm just not a fan of this. Like, if I search a album, let's say Blink 182, and I go to albums, All right, well, it's not showing any of the newest albums for some reason. Why wouldn't it? And it's not showing anything with Dolby Atmos. This one does have a Dolby Atmos mix, but it's not there. So how do I find it? There's literally no way. There's no toggle or anything. So I don't blame Lucid. It's just Tidal's a frustrating app. But anyways, that's been it. We are finally going to end this video. Thanks for watching another road trip. A big epic road trip to come. Returning, different route, completely different route, different stations, different charging network, hopefully. And tune in for that. Stay subscribed, whatever. We'll see you guys another Out of Spec motoring road trip very soon. Cheers.